When Survivor 48 began, few contestants captured the audience's attention like David Kinne. Charismatic, cunning, and unapologetically ruthless, David quickly carved out a reputation as the season's ultimate villain. With his icy confessionals and masterful manipulation, he orchestrated blindsides that left fans in awe, and his fellow castaways in constant fear. But as with many great Survivor villains before him, David's hubris became his downfall. In a stunning twist of fate, the very alliance he built and controlled turned against him, sending him home with an idol still in his pocket. David's early game was a masterclass in control. From day one, he identified the major players and pulled them into his orbit. The athletic powerhouse Chris, the social butterfly Mia, the strategic mind of Evelyn, and the seemingly loyal underdog Nate. Together, they formed what David called the Core Four, an unbreakable block that systematically dismantled the rest of the tribe. His influence was so pervasive that even players outside of his alliance often looked to him for approval before making moves. But beneath the surface, resentment was brewing. Chris and Mia began to recognize that David's name was always the one whispered at tribal councils when people speculated who was really running things. Evelyn, who prided herself on being the brains behind the operation, grew tired of playing second fiddle. Even Nate, who owed much of his safety to David's maneuvering, started to chafe under David's constant micromanagement. The real tipping point came during the infamous letter from home reward. Each player received emotional letters from loved ones, and in a moment of rare vulnerability, David teared up reading his sister's note. That tiny crack in his armor humanized him to the audience, but to his alliance, it signaled weakness. Survivors don't just sniff out power, they pounce on vulnerability. By the time the final 8 rolled around, whispers of a David blindside turned into full-on plans. Evelyn, ever the strategist, led the charge. She realized that as long as David remained, her own resume would be overshadowed. Chris and Mia, desperate to shake their David's puppet's image, quickly agreed. Nate, always eager to move up the hierarchy, saw his chance and jumped ship. In a chilling parallel to David's own earlier moves, the plan unfolded with surgical precision. Evelyn fed David enough information to make him feel secure, even convincing him to hold onto his hidden immunity idol. Meanwhile, Mia worked the swing votes, framing the blind side as a way to regain control before the final stretch. Chris, once David's enforcer, twisted the knife at tribal council with a simple, devastating line. Sometimes you have to cut the head off the snake. David's ouster was as shocking as it was inevitable. As Jeff Probst rid the votes, David's trademark smirk faltered. 4 votes against him. Idol unplayed. Just like that, the puppet master became the pawn, and the season's biggest villain was sent packing, blindsided by the very people he thought he controlled. In his exit interview, David was remarkably self-aware. "I played too hard, too fast," he admitted. "I built an empire. But I forgot that empires are made of people, and people have ambitions too." Survivor 48's audience will likely debate for years whether David's downfall was his own fault or simply an inevitable result of his high-profile gameplay. Either way, his fall made for one of the most thrilling episodes in recent Survivor history, a reminder that in this game, even the strongest can be toppled in an instant. As David himself might say, it's not personal, it's Survivor.